Nifty is trading around that 11,050 mark, though the mid-cap index is up around 50 points. And from the broader markets, JSW Energy seems to be piling on some further weight because that stock is now up around 5.7%. Endurance Tech, after the announcement of the OFS by the promoters, which was down yesterday in trade, is picking up as we speak, up around 4%. And Arvind and Jubilant Life are the other stocks from the broader markets, which are seeing an uptick of around 3 to 4%. But let's move on and take an important voice on the show now. An important message coming in from an important guest, and that is Guenter Butschek, the MD and CEO of Tata Motors. He rejects outright the rumors of stake sale in JLR, adds that he is convinced about the JLR turnaround story. Take a look.
Last month they were doing extremely well on all of the markets except the subdued demand situation in China. We actually pointed out what is the focus, what is the aspiration as far as the charge project is concerned, and what are the structural issues that get addressed by Accelerate. With this comprehensive set of actions, I'm deeply convinced, and also talking on behalf of my colleagues at JLR, that the turnaround of JLR is going to happen. I think the position taken by Tata Sons, the decision taken and the statement made also by Tata Motors Group and even more so by JLR, rejecting all these kind of rumors and comments on the rumors that we might reduce our stake in JLR is self-explaining and does not need to be further commented. I keep my fingers crossed that the month of March is going to give us some improvement, so that the fourth quarter all in all is going to give us a somewhat higher level on which we can actually build confidence. To what extent political influences, economical impacts currently influencing the picture, where we all saw it's possibly of the cash crunch since last year, September. Most of these issues have been debottlenecked. Big picture impact will always be there. So therefore, I still assume that we are in a kind of a temporary dip in the market growth story, and that we are going to get out of it very soon.
Okay, so Tata Motors is top boss talking about a whole host of topics. Most importantly, not really saying that, well, there is no plan to sell any stake in JLR, and no further explanation on that is really needed, and remains convinced about a turnaround as far as Jaguar and Land Rover is concerned. Let's move on to some economy opinion now. My colleague Lata caught up with Kenneth Rogoff to talk about the slowing dragon, China, and the cut in its growth outlook. Rogoff says that Chinese slowdown is significant, adding that India would be insulated from this weakness. Listen in.
I think the Chinese economy may not have a crash landing. I think it may have a soft landing, but onto a downhill slope. I think the future productivity growth in China is going to be much weaker than it was the last couple decades. It does not hit the United States as hard as it hits Europe. India is insulated to some extent because, for better or for worse, it's a more closed economy. But President Trump has sort of turned his eye to India as well, maybe to tell the Chinese, I mean business. The world wonders if China can deliver a 6 to 6.5% number. They're going to deliver a 6 to 6.5% number. It's just not clear that's a real number. They haven't solved the business cycle. Everybody has slowdowns. They're having one. I think it's a very significant one. The noise the U.S. is making is hurting China. It is calling into question investment in China. And it's coming on top of a much deeper problem, which is the centralization of power. The premier said that the private sector should feel less burdens. I don't think in the last decade they've ever felt more burdens. So yes, I can't read President Trump's mind. I don't know anyone who can. I don't know how this is going to play out. It's very hard to predict.
Okay, so India is a bit insulated when it comes to the other Asian peers. That's a word coming in from Kenneth Rogoff. But on that note, we wrap up this edition of Trading Hour. Stay tuned. Halftime report comes up next.
I think at an all India level, if you take the general government expenditure on health, I think more than 80% of the budget expenditure is incurred by the states. How health should be delivered in Kerala and how health should be delivered in Nagaland, I think if you say that Delhi knows better about both, it's a little difficult to stomach. My limited point is, if I see all the flagship programs, almost all the flagship programs were in some state or other before. When the state government does it, it is populist. When the national government, when the union government does it, it is for people's interest, you know.